Hello viewers, good morning. Myself I am K. Bhaskar, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Chemistry at SRR Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar. In this video, I am going to give a presentation on the topic carboxylic acids and their derivatives. Here, we are concentrating on the functional group, that is carboxylic acids. Before going into the topic, here is a question for you, that is, what do you know about the functional group? Right? From the intermediate level itself, we generally see this term, that is functional group. What is functional group? Functional group is nothing but it is an atom or a group which defines the characteristic properties of the compound is called functional group. Due to the presence of this group, the compound gets characteristic properties. For example, alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, halogen group, hydroxy group, aldehyde group, keto group, carboxylic acid group, acid halide, amide, ester, anhydride, amines, nitro, nitrito, cyano, isocyano. These are various functional groups. Due to the presence of these groups in the compound gets characteristic properties. So this is what about the functional group, right? In this video, we are going to discuss about the carboxylic acid functional group. That is our topic, right? You can see here, these are the various sources of carboxylic acid. You can see in the middle the lemon. So usually citrus acids are available in these lemon. You can see here guava. In guava we can see this is a very good source of oxalic acid, which is a example of dicarboxylic acid. Even in milk, we know milk consists of lactose, which will be converted into lactic acid, right? So this is a source of lactic acid. As well, you can see here tamarind. This is a source of tartaric acid. And you see here coconut. In the coconut, we can see the carboxylic acid, that is copric acid, copric acid, as well as lauric acid. These three long chain carboxylic acids we see in coconut. So these are the various sources of carboxylic acid. And we can also see, you can see here in goat meat, it is a very good source of caproic acid. And you see here ant is a source of formic acid. Butter is a source of butyric acid. You can see here palm tree. This palm tree is a source of palmitic acid. And you can see here this is a flower that is called valerian. This is a source of valeric acid, right? So these are the various sources of carboxylic acids. In goat meat we'll see caproic acid. From ant we'll get formic acid. From butter, butyric acid. From palm tree we'll get palmitic acid. From valerian flowers, you can see we'll get valeric acid. In the previous slide you see guava is an example of a source which contains oxalic acid, which is a dicarboxylic acid. From tamarind we'll get tartaric acid. From citrus fruits we'll get the citric acid. And lactic acid from milk we'll get it. And copric acid, coprilic acid, lauric acid, these three acids we'll get from the coconut. So these are some of the sources where do we see carboxylic acids, right, in our daily life. Of course, what are carboxylic acids? So carboxylic acids are nothing but these are the organic compounds having COOH functional group are called as carboxylic acids. And you see here in the slide, you can see this is a triester of glycerol, which is also called as triglyceride esters. Usually we know in our daily life we will get the nutrients, micronutrients for the human beings in three ways: either fats, carbohydrates or proteins. Out of these three micronutrients, the fats are very important for human beings. These serves as a storing of energy in the body, and of course you know the fats are nothing but triglyceride esters. Fats are also nothing but triglyceride esters. What is the main difference between fats and oils? Almost the chemical formula is same, but oils are liquids at room temperature, fats are solids at room temperature. This is what the difference between the fats and oils. Coming to the fats, just now I told you that these are the long chain fatty acids. These are the long chain fatty acids, right? Esters of triglycerides. You can see here in the first chain, that is totally saturated fatty acid. In the second chain it is a unsaturated. Third chain it is also unsaturated. But if you look at the nature of unsaturation in the middle chain, it is cis orientation. In the third chain you can see the double bond is in trans orientation. So totally based on the saturation, the fats are of two types: saturated fats, unsaturated fats, right? Again, the unsaturated fatty acids are classified into two types: cis as well as trans, right? So what is the difference between fat and oil? Just now I told you that fat is a solid, whereas oil is a liquid at room temperature. This is what the difference between the fat and oil, right? Why do we convert the oils into fats? Because fats are stable to the oxygen and as well as temperature variation, right? So that's why usually we will convert the oils into fats by hydrogenation process. Fats are nothing but saturated fatty acids, oils are unsaturated fatty acids. Usually oils are unsaturated in nature, fats are saturated in nature. So by hydrogenation process we can convert the oils into fats. But here one thing you should remember here, that while doing hydrogenation process, during the conversion of oils into fats, what happens generally is the cis double bond will be converted into trans. Here the trans type of fatty acids are not good for health. Actually only cis type of unsaturated fatty acids are good for health. But during the process, that is hydrogenation process, while converting the oils into fats, the cis double bond is converted into trans double bond, which is dangerous to our human health, right? So overall we can say that oils are liquid at room temperature. We will convert them into fats by doing hydrogenation process. The fats are solids at room temperature. Why do we do hydrogenation process? Why do we convert the oils into fats? Because the fats are stable to the oxygen as well as their temperature variation. They are stable to the oxygen as well as temperature variation. So that's why we will do hydrogenation process. And coming to the benefits of unsaturated fatty acids, the cis unsaturated fatty acids are good for health, whereas trans unsaturated fatty acids are not that much good for the health. We should avoid using trans fatty acids, right? Because these trans fatty acids will reduce the HDL type of cholesterol, which are important for the body. These HDL type of cholesterol will remove the excess fat in the body. But here our trans fatty acids will decrease the HDL type of cholesterol in the body. At the same time, it will increase the LDL type of cholesterol in the body, which is harm to the human health, right? So in one word we can say that cis is good for health, trans is not good for health. We should avoid using trans fatty acids. Just now I told you that the cis unsaturated fatty acids are converted into trans type during the hydrogenation process, during the heating. So here you can see here there is a image for you. This is you can see here we are boiling the oil during the process of various food. So we should avoid the over fried and as well as processing the food. We should avoid using the over boiling of the oil, because during the heat what happened, just now I told you, the cis is converted into trans double bond, right? Here the cis is converted into trans double bond, and here the trans is very dangerous to human health. So just avoid overboiling of oils which may lead to conversion of cis to trans double bond. And here the trans unsaturated fatty acids are not good for health, which will reduce the HDL type of cholesterol in the body, which is important for us, but it will reduce the HDL type of cholesterol, right? So this is what about the fatty acids, right? But here fatty acids are nothing but long chain carboxylic acids. Long chain alkyl group containing carboxylic acids are called as fatty acids. And the triesters of triglycerides, you see here, these are the triglyceride esters which are known as fats, right? So the fats are nothing but the triglyceride esters. When we hydrolyze the esters in presence of base condition, we call the reaction as a saponification. Saponification is nothing but the base hydrolysis of ester into the to give carboxylic acid and as well as alcohol is called as a saponification reaction. So during the saponification of triglycerides, we will get the glycerol as the product. At the same time, we will get the salts of long chain fatty acids, which are used as detergents, right? So in this way, the fats, by saponification, we can able to produce the detergents. Detergents are nothing but the salts of long chain fatty acids, right? Long chain fatty acids. So usually the carboxylic acids we will see in fats as well as in detergents, right? This is what about the carboxylic acids which we see in our daily life. Coming to the learning outcomes of today's class, by the end of this session, you see we can able to learn and we can able to get the idea about these concepts, that is about what is carboxylic acids and how to give the nomenclature for them, and what type of isomerism is exhibited by carboxylic acids, what are the classification of carboxylic acids, and how to prepare the carboxylic acids, what are the general preparations of carboxylic acids. So these things we are going to cover in our video presentation, right? So here the first thing, that is definition of carboxylic acids. Organic compounds containing at least one COOH group in them are called as carboxylic acids. You see here the structure of carboxylic acid, C double bond O connected to OH group. That is what a carboxylic acid. So this carboxylic acid consists of two functional groups. One is carbonyl functional group, that is C double bond O. At the same time, it is also having OH functional group, that is a hydroxy functional group. So that's why we'll give the name as a carboxylic. That means it is a combination of two functional groups, carbonyl plus hydroxylic group. So together we will call it as a carboxylic acid. right? So this carboxylic acid is having two functional groups in it. It is a interaction of two functional groups. We will get this functional group by combining the two functional groups. One is keto, another one is hydroxy functional group. Carbonyl functional group, hydroxy functional group. So apart from the carbonyl and hydroxy functional group properties, functional properties, our carboxylic acids will also exhibit distinct properties, right? Apart from the carbonyl and hydroxyl properties, our carboxylic acid compounds will also exhibit distinct properties due to the interaction of these two functional groups in the carboxylic acid functional group, right? So this is what about the definition of carboxylic acid functional group. What are carboxylic acids? The organic compounds containing at least one carboxylic group in them are called as carboxylic acids. The general formula you see are attached to COOH functional group, and based on the number of COOH groups, you can see the carboxylic acids are classified into two types here: monocarboxylic acid, tricarboxylic acids, like that, right? Right. Coming to the nomenclature, you can see we can give the carboxylic acid naming in two ways. In common, we can give the name based on the IUPAC rules and based on the source, that is common name, right? How to give the nomenclature of carboxylic acids based on IUPAC rules? According to the IUPAC rule, you know, usually the IUPAC name consists of three things. One is a prefix, in which we will write the substituents in alphabetical wise, followed by root word, which indicates the number of carbon atoms in the main chain. At the same time, primary suffix, which indicates the nature of unsaturation, that is single bond, will give it as a alkanes, double bond alkene, triple bond alkyne. Ane, ene, ine, these three are primary suffix, followed by secondary suffix, in which we will write the principal functional group which is present in the compound. So this is what about the IUPAC naming. So the carboxylic acids can be named as alkanoic acid. Alk indicates the number of carbons. Oic acid indicates the secondary suffix for the carboxylic acids, right? If you look at the examples, you can see here in the first example it is having only one carbon, therefore methanoic acid. In the second example it is having two carbons, that means ethanoic acid. Third one, it is having three carbons, propanoic acid. Fourth one, it is having four carbons, butanoic acid. In all these examples, if you observe, there is no unsaturation at all. Therefore, alkanoic acid is the IUPAC name for the carboxylic acids. Last one you can see here, in this we are having 5 carbons in it, therefore it is pentanoic acid. This is how we give the IUPAC nomenclature for the carboxylic acid: methanoic acid, ethanoic acid, propanoic acid, butanoic acid, pentanoic acid. Coming to the common name for these carboxylic acids, we give the common name based on the source from which we will get those carboxylic acids. If you see the first example, the common name is formic acid. This acid will get from the ant. The source of this acid is ant. In the Greek word, the form indicates the ant, insects, that means formic acid. The second one, acetic acid. Where do we get this acetic acid? We get it from vinegar, acetic acid. So third one, propionic acid. It is used in this propionic acid is used in preservatives, right? Propionic acid. This is the common name for propanoic acid, right? Butyric acid. This is butyric acid. We will get this butyric acid from butter. And finally you can see here the last one, that is valeric acid. We get this valeric acid from the valerian flowers, which I have mentioned in the beginning of the slides, right? So based on the source of the carboxylic acids, we give the nomenclature for various carboxylic acids, right? Coming to the, if you compare the common name with the IUPAC name, you can see here formic acid is called as methanoic acid, acetic acid is called as ethanoic acid, propionic acid is known as propanoic acid, butyric acid in IUPAC will call it as butanoic acid, valeric acid will call it as a pentanoic acid, right? Coming to the isomerism, what is isomerism? It is a phenomenon of existence of more than two compounds having same chemical formula which exhibit different properties. Those are called as isomers, and the concept is called as isomerism, right? In shortcut way we can say that compounds with same chemical formula and exhibit different properties are called as isomers, right? So our carboxylic acids also exhibit isomerism. You can see here I have shown you two types of isomerism which exhibited by the carboxylic acid. The first one is chain isomerism. The name itself indicates these are the isomers which differ in the chain. If you look at the first compound, it is a linear compound having 5 carbon atoms in the main chain, that is pentanoic acid. Whereas in the second one, in the main chain we are having only 4 carbon atoms in them, and there is a methyl substituent at this third position. So thereby here the first one is pentanoic acid, the second one is 3-methyl butanoic acid. So these two having same chemical formula but they differ in their chain, main chain, so those are called as chain isomers, right? Coming to the functional isomers, the carboxylic acids, you see the first one it is propanoic acid and the second one it is methyl acetate. These two are having same chemical formula but they differ in their functional groups in them. The first one it is having carboxylic acid functional group, the second one it is having ester as a functional group. So the compounds having same chemical formula which differ in their properties are called as isomers, and the isomers which are having different functional groups are called as functional group isomers, right? These two will come under functional isomers, right? Coming to the classification of carboxylic acids, so based on the nature of the hydrocarbon attached to the carboxylic acid functional group, the carboxylic acids are classified into two types: aliphatic carboxylic acids and aromatic carboxylic acids. In aliphatic carboxylic acids, the carbon chain is of aliphatic in nature, that means open chain, that is open chain hydrocarbon, acyclic, right? This is what about aliphatic carboxylic acids. Coming to the aromatic carboxylic acids, in this the alkyl part is of aromatic in nature. You see this is an example of aromatic carboxylic acid in which the COH group is connected to the aromatic alkyl group, that is benzene green, that is benzoic acid, right? And here you should not confuse with these two examples. The second one, even though it is having aromatic ring in it, this should not be called as a aromatic carboxylic acid, because in this the carboxylic acid is not directly connected to the aromatic ring, but it is connected to the aliphatic CH2 group. We should call them correctly as aryl substituted carboxylic acids, right? So in this way, this is the classification about the carboxylic acids, that is aliphatic and aromatic. Coming to the another type of classification, that is based on the number of carboxylic acids. The carboxylic acids are classified into various types. If the compound is having only one carboxylic acid in it, that is called as monocarboxylic acid. If the compound is having more than one, then those are called as polycarboxylic acids. For example, if the compound is having two carboxylic acid functional groups, that is called as dicarboxylic acid. Example, oxalic acid. And you can see another example, that is tricarboxylic acid, in which it is having 3 carboxylic acid functional groups in it. This is citric acid, right? Based on the number of carboxylic acid, this is the classification. Coming to the nomenclature for dicarboxylic acids, so based on the source, this is a, here we have given the name for these dicarboxylic acids, that is common name for the dicarboxylic acids. You see here the first one, it is oxalic acid. It is having 2 carbons. If we increase 1 carbon, then it is called as malonic acid. 4 carbons, succinic acid. 5 carbons, glutamic acid. 6 carbons, adipic acid. Oxalic acid, malonic acid, succinic acid, glutamic acid, adipic acid. How to remember the name for these dry carboxylic acids? Here is a small trick for you to remember the name, that is, oh my such good apples. O means oxalic acid. Next, my means malonic acid. Such, succinic acid. Good, glutamic acid. Apples, adipic acid. So in this way we can remember the sequence of dicarboxylic acids in increasing order of their carbon number in them, that is, oh my such good apples. Oxalic acid, malonic acid, succinic acid, glutamic acid, adipic acid. In this way we will give the common name for the dicarboxylic acids. Coming to the IUPAC name for these dicarboxylic acids, the common name, the IUPAC name for the dicarboxylic acids is alkane dioic acid. Alkane dioic acid. Di indicates double 2 carboxylic acids, right? In the first example it is having 2 carbons, therefore it is ethane dioic acid. In the second it is having 3 carbons, propane dioic acid. Fourth it is having 4 carbons, that is butane dioic acid. And right side you can see pentane dioic acid, it is having 5 carbons. Last one, that is hexane dioic acid, it is having 6 carbons. So this is the IUPAC nomenclature for dicarboxylic acids, alkane dioic acid, right? This is how we give the nomenclature, that is IUPAC nomenclature for dicarboxylic acids. Coming to the structure of the carboxylic acid, you see here in the circle it is shown that this is a functional group having both C double bond O as well as OH groups in them. This is called carboxylic acid functional group. It is having one double bond in it, so therefore it will act as a withdrawing group. Here the carboxylic acid is a minus inductive effect group as well as minus mesomeric group, right? So here you can see here the resonance structures in them. The carboxylic acid exists in 2 resonance forms, that is first one in which the lone pair on the oxygen of the hydroxylic group will be shifted to the oxygen on the carbon atom, carbonyl oxygen. So thereby there is a charge separation, that is the oxygen gets minus charge, the hydroxylic oxygen gets positive charge. So in this way the carboxylic acid exists in 2 resonance structures. Apart from the carbonyl and hydroxy group properties, our compounds also exhibit distinctive properties as these 2 groups interact to give carboxylic acids, right? This is what the structure of the carboxylic acid group. Coming to the preparations of carboxylic acids, carboxylic acids by hydrolysis of various acid derivatives, we will get the carboxylic acid as the product. You can see here nitrile. This is a compound having C triple bond N as a functional group. Amides, in which we see C double bond O NH2 functional group. Esters, C double bond O OCH3 group. When we hydrolyze these nitriles, amides, esters, we will get the carboxylic acid as the product. At the same time, we can also get the carboxylic acids by the hydrolysis of acid chloride as well as acid anhydride. By hydrolysis of acid chloride and acid anhydride, we will get the carboxylic acid, right? And what is the rate of hydrolysis? Just now we have seen that by the hydrolysis of various functional groups, we will get the carboxylic acid as the product. But when we compare the rate of reaction of these hydrolysis reactions, the rate is different. Different functional groups will undergo hydrolysis at a different rates. If you look at the rate of hydrolysis of these functional groups, this is the order in which we will see the rate of reaction. The acid chlorides will undergo hydrolysis at faster rate compared to the amides. Amides will undergo hydrolysis very slowly compared to the acid chloride, right? Because in amides, the lone pair present on the nitrogen atom will easily involve in resonance with the adjacent C double bond O group. Thereby, this is not a easy living group, because here we will get the double bond character between the carbon and nitrogen in amides. Whereas in acid chloride, due to the more electronegativity of chlorine atom, those electrons, lone pair of electrons on the chlorine, will not easily involve in the resonance with the adjacent C double bond O. Therefore, the double bond character is somewhat less compared to the amides in the acid chlorides. So thereby it is a easy living group. It will undergo easy hydrolysis. So this is the order of rate of hydrolysis, right? Coming to the second preparation method for carboxylic acids, that is carbonation of Grignard reagent. We have already covered this in the organometallic compounds. This Grignard reagent is a very good source for carbon anion, and this carbon anion serves as a nucleophile as well as a base. Here in this case, our Grignard reagent, which is a source of carbon anion, will serve as a nucleophile and will undergo addition at the carbon dioxide double bond, and thereby we will get this first addition product in which the alkyl group is attached to the carbon atom, the magnesium bromide is attached to the oxygen atom. These two are attached to the C double bond O group. So in this addition reaction is initiated by nucleophile. So such type of addition reaction, we'll call them as a nucleophilic addition reaction. So in this first step, what happened? There is a nucleophilic addition of carbon anion, that is alkyl group on the carbon dioxide, right? So followed by hydrolysis, we will get the carboxylic acid as the product, right? In this way, we can prepare the carboxylic acids from carbonation of Grignard reagent. The third one, that is hydrolysis of trichlorides. Here this is, in this reaction, we have taken the trichloride as an reactant. In this, the three chlorine atoms are present on the same carbon, and here we know alkyl halides will undergo substitution reaction, that is nucleophilic substitution reaction with the aqueous sodium hydroxide. This aqueous sodium hydroxide is a source of hydroxynucleophile. Here what happens in this reaction? The chloronucleophile is replaced by the hydroxynucleophile. This is a substitution reaction in which one nucleophile is substituted by other nucleophile. Such type of substitution reaction, we'll call them as a nucleophilic substitution reaction. So in this, 3 chloronucleophiles are substituted by 3 hydroxynucleophiles, right? This is the first step. In the first step, we get the trihydroxy product, in which the 3 hydroxy groups are present on the same carbon atom. Such type of triols in which all the alcohols are present on the same carbon are called as a geminal triol. Geminal means same carbon, that indicates same carbon. right? So these geminal triols as well as geminal diols are unstable. Only one hydroxy group on one carbon is stable, but here we are having 3 hydroxy groups on same carbon, which is unstable. Upon heating, it loses water molecule to convert carboxylic acid. So in this way, the trihaloates on hydrolysis will get the carboxylic acid as a product, right? Right. If you try to summarize what we have learned in this video presentation, if you recollect the important points, we can recollect the important points, right? The important points are: the carboxylic acid is a functional group, which is a combination of carbonyl as well as hydroxy functional group. So the organic compounds having the carboxylic acid as a functional group also exhibit the distinctive properties apart from the carbonyl as well as hydroxy properties due to the interaction of these two functional groups in the carboxylic acid. And here the carboxylic acids, the long chain carboxylic acids are called as fatty acids, and the main fatty acids we see in the nature, that is triglyceride esters. These fats are nothing but triglyceride esters. These fats are of two types, saturated and unsaturated. Unsaturated fatty acids are oils, they are liquid at room temperature. Saturated fatty acids are fats, those are solids at room temperature. We will convert the oils into fats by hydrogenation heating process. So examples: vanaspati, dalda, these are examples for fats. Usually we will convert the oils into fats because fats are stable to the oxygen as well as temperature variation, and unsaturated fats, especially cis fats, are good to the health. Trans fats are bad to the health, and the large number of carbon atoms is a bad fat. Small number of carbon atoms is comparatively a good fat, right? Cis bond is good for health, trans bond is bad for health. The double bond is always cis in natural fatty acids, and very important thing is, on heating, cis bond gets converted into trans. So that's why we should avoid deep fried and processed foods, and we should avoid the overboiling of oils, right? This is what we learned about the fatty acids. And when we hydrolyze these triglyceride esters, that is fats, in presence of base, that reaction we'll call it as a saponification. In saponification, we'll get the salts of carboxylic acids, long chain fatty acids. Those are nothing but detergents. And we have covered the classification of carboxylic acids, that is monocarboxylic acids, dicarboxylic acids, tricarboxylic acids, and we have covered the nomenclature of the carboxylic acids, that is common name based on the source: formic acid, acetic acid, propionic acid, butyric acid, valeric acid, caproic acid, caprylic acid, capric acid, lauric acid, palmitic acid, stearic acid, like that. Similarly, we have covered the IUPAC nomenclature for these carboxylic acids, that is alkanoic acid. We have covered the nomenclature for dicarboxylic acids, that is oh my such good apples. That is a trick to remember the sequence in increasing order of their carbon atoms in the dicarboxylic acids, that is oxalic acids, malonic acid, succinic acid, glutamic acid, adipic acid. And the common name is based on the source: oxalic acid, malonic acid, succinic acid, glutamic acid, adipic acid. Similarly, we have seen the IUPAC name as alkane dioic acid. We covered the preparation methods, that is hydrolysis reaction, carbonation reaction, right? This is what we covered in this video presentation. And I feel right now you are feeling comfort with what we have learned in this video presentation. If you have any doubts, please post your questions in the comment section. Your questions will be answered there. And finally, thank you for going through the video presentation. Here is a proverb for you: nurture the nature for the future. Thank you. Thank you.